a real-life Scooby-Doo mystery. G'day, legends, and welcome to another cracker of an adventure. Steve here, and today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're trading the billabongs and the outback for something spooky. That's right, we're going on a real-life mystery hunt, just like those meddling kids. We've heard whispers of a haunted lighthouse right on the coast, a place where strange things go bump in the night. Now, you know me. I'm all about the critters and the wild, but a good mystery. That gets the old heart pumping too. So grab your Scooby snacks, because we're about to jump in the mystery machine and see if we can solve this thing. Now, every good mystery-solving gang needs a team, and I've brought my own little Scooby crew along for the ride. We've got my beautiful wife, Terry. She's the brains of the operation. We've got my best mate, Wes, always ready with a plan. And of course, what's a gang without a Shaggy and Scooby? We've brought along our trusty terrier, Suey, who's always up for an adventure, and she's brought her appetite. Together, we're going to get to the bottom of this spooky business. The plan is simple. We head to the location, we look for clues, and we see if this ghost is the real deal, or just a bit of a larrikin having a laugh. Danger, excitement, you betcha, adventure awaits. All right, team, let's fire up the van and get moving. We've arrived at the spooky lighthouse. Look at this place. We've made it to Point Hicks, and what a beauty she is. The lighthouse stands tall and proud against the sky. You can feel the isolation out here. The wind is howling a bit, whistling around the old stone, waves crashing against the rocks down below. Perfect setting for a spooky story. The sun is getting low, casting long, dancing shadows. You can almost imagine something moving in the corner of your vision. Our team is ready to go. Terry is taking notes, studying the architecture, watching how the light hits the tower. She's our Velma, and Daphne rolled into one, a real thinker. Wes is checking our gear, swapping batteries and torches, testing cameras. He's our Fred, always making sure we're prepared. Little Suey, our Scooby, is sniffing everything. Her nose is twitching 100 miles an hour, smelling the salt, the sea, and maybe something else. She's on edge, ears perked, listening. This place is steeped in history. The first land Captain Cook spotted in 1770. Imagine that. For generations, this light has been a beacon for sailors, but history brings stories, hardship, loneliness, loss. That human element often fuels tales of hauntings. You can feel the weight of those years standing here. Powerful, humbling. We step out of the van and onto the grounds. The atmosphere is thick. The air is cool and heavy with sea spray. Old wooden signs creak. Coastal scrub rustles loudly in the wind. It's easy to see how imagination runs wild, especially at night. But we're investigators, separating fact from fiction, natural from supernatural. All right, gang, let's look around the base of this incredible structure. Let's see what secrets she's hiding. Before we go poking around for clues, let's talk about the legend that brought us here. Every haunted place has a story. This one is a real heartbreaker. The tale goes that back in the early 1900s, there was a lightkeeper here named Thomas. He was a dedicated man, but his real light was his fiancée, Elara. She lived in a nearby town. He was saving up to marry her and bring her here to live with him. He'd write her letters every week, promising to keep the light burning for her until she could join him. What a romantic, eh? One stormy night, Elara decided to surprise him. She boarded a small supply vessel to make the journey up the coast, but a terrible squall blew in, a real monster of a storm. The waves were massive, the ship was tossed about like a cork. Despite Thomas keeping the light burning bright, the ship was overcome by the sea and tragically went down with all hands, including his beloved Elara. They say Thomas was never the same after that. He kept the light, but his heart was broken. He'd spend his nights staring out at the dark water, weeping for his lost love. A truly sad story. The legend says Thomas eventually passed away from a broken heart, but his spirit never left. People who have stayed here, especially on stormy nights, claim they can hear a man's sorrowful weeping carried on the wind. Others have seen the lighthouse lamp flicker and dim, even when the modern electrical system is working perfectly. Some visitors reported seeing a shadowy figure of a man on the lantern room balcony, gazing out at the sea, forever waiting for a ship that will never arrive. It's these stories that have turned this landmark into a destination for ghost hunters. Now, is it a real spirit or just the wind playing tricks? That's what we're here to find out. What was that noise? All right, we've started our first sweep around the outside of the lighthouse, and things are already getting interesting. The sun has completely set now, and it is properly dark. All we've got is the beam of our torches and the big sweeping light from the top of the tower. We're walking along the path that leads to the old keeper's cottage when... Creak, groan, crikey, did you hear that? It was a long, low groaning sound, just like the stories said. It sounded like it came from right up there near the top of the lighthouse. Suey, our little Scooby, started barking her head off. Her fur was standing on end. She definitely heard it too. Terry, ever the calm one, immediately pointed her torch up the side of the tower, trying to pinpoint the source. But there was nothing there, just the old stone and the wind. Wes suggested it could just be the old building settling, or maybe the wind whistling through a crack in a window frame. A perfectly logical explanation. But I tell you what, when you're standing out here in the dark, and you've just heard the legend of a weeping ghost, a sound like that sends a shiver right down your spine. It was exactly the kind of eerie, mournful sound the legend describes. My heart's thumping like a drum. Just as we were calming down from the noise, I spotted something on the ground. Jinkies, as Velma would say. Down in a soft patch of earth near a back entrance, there was a footprint. But this was no ordinary footprint, mate. It was huge, and it was caked in a thick, dark mud, the kind you'd find down in the marshy wetlands, not up here on this rocky headland. And here's the weird part. We're all wearing hiking boots, but this print was from a big old-fashioned work boot. And it was all alone. There was no trail leading to it or away from it, just one single, mysterious, muddy footprint. We figured our next logical step was to talk to someone who knows this place inside and out. Every good mystery needs a quirky local character, right? We found him down at the old generator shed, a bloke named Barnaby. He's the current caretaker of the lighthouse and the grounds. He's a real character, this one. He's got a big bushy white beard stained with what looks like tea. He wears a thick, knitted jumper even though it's not that cold. He was tinkering with a bit of machinery when we walked up. He looked at us over the top of his spectacles with a bit of a twinkle in his eye. Come to see the ghost, have you? Plenty of folks do. Can't say I blame 'em. Old Thomas gets lonely, heard things. Oh, I've heard 'em. The groaning, the weeping. It's worse on nights when the fog rolls in thick. Sounds like the whole tower is crying. Seen things too. Lights flicker in the cottage when there's no power on. Doors creak open when there's no breeze. He's a restless one, old Thomas is. We asked him about the footprint we found. We showed him the photo on Terry's camera. A big muddy boot print, you say? Strange. The only marsh is a good 2 miles from here. No reason for anyone to be tracking that muck up here. Unless Thomas is getting bolder. Maybe he's wandering further than he used to, down to the wetlands where the sea took his bride. A spirit's grief can take him to strange places, you know. Be careful, especially if you were planning on going inside the tower at night. Time to investigate. All right, it's time for the classic Scooby-Doo move. Let's split up, gang. Terry and I decided we'd tackle the big one, the lighthouse tower. Wes said he'd check the generator shed. He'd also look around the keeper's cottage. Suey stuck with me and Terry. She wasn't letting us go alone. We got the key from Barnaby, pushed open the heavy wooden door. A rush of cool, musty air hit us. It smelled of old stone, salt, and a faint metallic scent. Terry and I started climbing the winding spiral staircase. Every step echoed. The only light was from our torches. Shadows danced and twisted on the curved walls, properly eerie. Halfway up, we heard it again, that low groaning. This time we were inside. It was louder, vibrating through the floor. Suey whimpered and pressed against my leg. I put my hand on the wall. I felt the vibration. It wasn't just a sound, it was physical. The tower itself was groaning. Steve, you won't believe this. He'd found stuff hidden behind old oil drums. A big pair of muddy work boots, matching the footprint. A small audio speaker, a digital playback device with a recording of a low groaning sound. The pieces started to come together. The wail was a recording. Back in the tower, Terry had a theory. She noticed the groan happened after the lamp made a full rotation.
Look here, Steve.
The main axle bearing, bone dry. It needs grease. The groan wasn't a ghost. It was metal grinding on metal. The heavy mechanism strained with each turn, sending vibration through the stone. It's not a ghost after all. We had all the clues. The recorded groaning sound, the muddy boots, the dry axle bearing in the lighthouse mechanism. It was time for the unmasking. We all met up outside the generator shed, and we knew who our ghost had to be. There was only one person who had the access, the knowledge, and the motive to pull this all off. We called out his name. "Barnaby, we'd like to have a word with you." He came shuffling out of the darkness from the direction of the keeper's cottage, looking surprised to see us all there. "Everything all right?" he asked, trying to look innocent. "We would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids," I said with a grin. We laid out all the evidence. Wes held up the speaker and the muddy boots. I explained what Terry had discovered about the dry gear mechanism in the tower. Barnaby's face fell, and he let out a long sigh. He knew he'd been caught. He wasn't a phantom, he was just a man. He confessed everything. The old lighthouse was due to have its magnificent old-fashioned rotating lamp replaced with a modern automated LED light. It was more efficient, but it would take away the soul of the place. Barnaby loved this lighthouse. He'd been the caretaker for over 30 years, just like his father before him. He couldn't bear the thought of the historic mechanism being ripped out and replaced. So he came up with a plan. He decided to amplify the legend of the Weeping Lightkeeper. He used the speaker to play the groaning sounds, timing them with the tower's natural creaks. He'd walk down to the marsh to get mud for the boots to create a mysterious spirit footprint. His goal was to make the lighthouse so famous for its haunting that the Historical Society would step in and preserve it exactly as it was. He was faking the ghost to save the lighthouse's history. What a brilliant, sneaky plan. Well, there you have it, folks. The mystery of the Weeping Lightkeeper is solved. It wasn't a ghost after all, but a dedicated caretaker named Barnaby, with a clever plan and a whole lot of heart. We helped him apply a bit of grease to that big old axle. And just like that, the mournful groaning stopped. The tower was quiet again, except for the gentle hum of the rotating light. Now, if you enjoyed coming along on this spooky adventure with us, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next wild ride. Until then, stay safe and keep exploring. Crikey.